Hello, welcome. All Things Guitar, Volume 3. So, I posted today that All Things Guitar is going to be math rock. And that's an actual genre of music to where there's a lot of polyrhythms and lots of thinking. Okay, so we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be doing that at all. But what we are going to do is we're going to go over the numbers. So what I was doing right there in the intro was I'm playing in a weird key. For guitar players, I'm playing an E flat and I'm using open strings. And for me to do that, here you're noticing that I have a capo here, but what you may not have noticed is I also have a partial capo here doing 4 strings. So these 4 strings on the 8th fret, I'm in standard tuning. Those 4 strings sound like this. And then I cut this off with a Dremel. I made this capo shorter. And then this capo back here grabs these 2 strings back here on the 3rd fret. So again, from the top string, now these next 2. That's a cool trick. It's a voicing. It is so if I was playing an E flat in this position, I have an E flat and we have the major third up top, the G, and then we have a D note back here. So you'll recognize that chord from the Billy Idol song, Eyes Without a Face. Now he does it in E, not E flat. Now my voicings are different because I have these weird capo situation things. And I'm a half step lower. However, that is the math portion of this idea. And the math portion has already been outlined. I didn't come up with this myself. It's basically the Nashville number system. And the Nashville number system, they didn't come up with themselves. They just put numbers on the steps of the major scale. The do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the solfege Italian scale that people learn in chorus. Do, 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 do. Well, instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, boom. I'll switch keys every second. So, yes, so instead of doing do, re, mi, they're singing the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats. So that's it. We're just going to do numbers. Now, why on earth am I talking about this? Well, because I have to do quite a bit of work with people, and I have to think of voicings. I have to think about voicings for guitar parts. I have to think about recording. I have to think about, okay, this part, it's muddy. That chord sounds muddy. So where is another position I can play that chord? So then I know the entire fretboard from the CAGED sequence. That was something I went over in one of my other episodes. So then I know the entire fretboard. I know every note. I know every chord that's diatonic. I'm not talking about chord substitutions and crazy jazz harmony. I'm talking about basic pop rock chords like, you know, the Beatles used. Those guys did pretty well with chords, I think. You know, they weren't doing tritone subs and playing the modes, okay? So we're going to talk like pop rock chords 101. How do I get started doing this? Well, how I was showcasing that in this beginning thing, I'm going to turn my squealing pedal off. Nothing sounds better than a Strat, am I right? So all my music theory, if I'm based off of a G chord, comes into play here. So that's, you know, if I'm thinking the G shape, in the G shape, well, where's my major chords? My 1, 4, 5. Okay. And then where's my minor 6? There's my minor 2. And then there's my minor 3. So 1, 4, 5. And then the minor 2, the minor 3, the minor 6. Okay. Well, man, that's really confusing. I got a capo here and I got this. You're way up here. I don't know anything about the guitar past the 5th fret. I hear that a lot from people. Okay. Well, let's take these off. Now, I'm going to show you. I'm going to make a concept that looks complicated. I'm going to make it simple. Okay, so the caged sequence goes completely over the neck. You're using 5 chord shapes to map out the neck. C shape, A, G, E, D, C. Okay, so then you're using C. You're in the key of C now. So you're using the C chord and the C shape. You're in the key of C. C is your Do, your 1 chord. Okay, well, you can also make this shape, and this is a different version of C. That's the A shape, but still a C chord. I'm spelling the word cage while I'm doing this. Now, we're about to start doing math and subbing. All right, A, and then C, A, G. Well, here's G, shape. Still a C chord, I'm just using a G shape for it. Then an E shape, then a D shape. Okay, I went from this area of the guitar to this area of the guitar, and it repeats. And I'm only playing 3 notes, doubling them at times. C, E, G, another C, another E, and then no big deal. It's just chords. Martin Knopfler said, I'm not a great solo player, I'm a fancy chord player. Well, that's all he's doing. He knows where every chord is on the neck that he wants to play for his piece of music, and then he plays it, and then instead of playing all the notes at once, he plays 1 note at a time of the chord, and that's where you come up with all those licks and the silly things. I've never heard a great song with a... Yeah, I mean, you're not going to hear a great song with that. But it's fun. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Okay, so what do I do with those chord shapes? Okay, well, you learned the whole fretboard with the 5 shapes. Okay, so now with those 5 shapes, you need to know how to play the 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, and the 2 chord, 3 chord, 6 chord. And I'm going to show you. Where did I get those numbers from? Well, I got it from the major scale. Check it out. C. I'm still in C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, da, 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 da. Okay, instead of doing solfege, now I'm going to do numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So now, I'm going to assume you know the major scale at this point. Okay, let me give you tools to use the major scale. This is a cheat sheet. It works for the 6th string, 5th string, 4th string. So anytime you have a root, you're in a key. It doesn't matter what key it is. The key is based on the 6th string, 5th string, 4th string. It doesn't matter, okay? Here is your toolbox. I call this thing the L wrench, okay? It's like a wrench. So here is C. Right under it is the F. And right over with the 3rd finger is the G. So if you play Tetris, those little L-shaped things that fall out of Tetris, that's what you're working with, okay? It's an L shape. Okay, that is 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5 in a major key is always 1, 4, 5 in a key. When 1 is a major, well, 4 and 5 is going to be major. And I always default to major because when I'm thinking of when somebody's like, well, it's in the key of A minor. Well, it's, I guess it is, but I always default to C major anyway, okay? All right, so check it out. We're still in C. C, F, and G. Those are 1, 4, 5. Okay, well, here is where your Tetris L shape, you flip it 180 degrees. Now, there's D, okay? D, E, and A. That is your Tetris shape. So D, E, and A, well, they are minor chords, okay? So the 1, 4, 5s are always major in a major key, which I always default to major. 2, 3, 6, they're always minor when you think that way, okay? Now here's where your toolbox, I gotta get this back here. Here's where your toolbox comes in handy. Okay, I told you it works on the 6th string, the 5th string, the 4th string. All right, here you go, check it out. 6th string, I'm gonna play this F note. Okay, here's the F note. There's the 1, 4, 5 for F. F, B flat, C. Okay, so then my 2 chord, my 3 chord, my 6 chord, they're going to be minor. Okay, so 2. Been listening to a lot of Police this week, so the bed's too big without you. And the cold wind goes through that open door. So that's what it is. It's a minor 4, a minor 5. Well, if you're thinking D minor, it's a minor 4, a minor 5, and D. But if you're relating it to F major, it's a minor 2, a minor 3, a minor 6. Because you never hear F in the tune. Anyway, it's math rock. Welcome to the show. Okay, so now that theory works on the 6th string. So let's go up half step. Obviously, you don't want to be doing bar chords with this stuff. That comes later, but hey, anything to get your feet wet and get you up the fretboard. And then same pattern. and then 2, 3, 6. Okay? So that is your formula. That is any cheat code. You're at a gig, you're trying to learn a song. Hey, we're in the key of F. Okay, cool. Well, then I know the key of F, F major. The 1 is F, the 4 is B flat, the 5 is C. And then the 2 is G minor, the 3 is A minor, and the 6 is D. So those are the tunes. That 7th chord, that's a half diminished thing. Not even going to go there now, because that's you could research the half diminished and the diminished scale for the rest of your life, because that's a trapdoor. It's like when you put the ring on your finger in Lord of the Rings. It's a trapdoor to go anywhere real quick, and if you're not careful, you get lost. So we're not going to touch that right now. I'm still discovering secrets with the half diminished and diminished and the altered scale and all that stuff. I'm still discovering cool patterns and things. Anyway, we're talking about playing Kumbaya around a campfire. So this is how I do it. Now, why am I showing you this? Because it is your cheat code, where you can pretty much be at a gig. You can get up at your church. You can go hang out with friends outside. You can go on a camping trip. You can hang out. Hey, we're going to do this tune. All right, I don't know that tune. It's okay. The tune's in A. Okay, well, I know A from this, the A shape. So how do I play 1, 4, 5 in A? Well, I can play it this way. Yeah, I can do it that way. And then the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and then 4, 5, and then 6. Well, how am I getting those numbers? Well, here's A. There's my L bracket, my L wrench. And then I flip it 180 degrees, and then I get my 2, 3, 6, and those are minor. Okay, so that's like your safety default thing of the math, okay? But now, okay, well, I don't want to sound like a robot, and I don't want to sound like an exercise. Okay, well, sound like music then, that's fine. So check this out. One, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 4, 4. Now 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 4, 5, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 4, 1. Hey, I'm doing math rock. That's exactly what I'm doing. So why on earth would someone think like math rock? Why would I think 1s and 4s and 5s and 3s and 2s? Well, because I've been on sessions before, and oh man, I don't want to do it in that key. And it's acoustic, and you're strumming, and you're doing a driving guitar part. Hey, I don't want to do it in D, I want to do it in F. All right, well, the part I learned was my D and my G and my A chord. Okay, well now I'm here. And that's what free falling is. If I didn't have the capo, if the singer felt up to doing it in the key of D, I would be playing. Okay, now capos aren't for cheaters. Capos allow you to use open strings, just like that beginning piece. I was using open strings, pull-offs, arpeggios, and I'm way up here in the dusty end of the guitar. Because I know the guitar from here, I know where the harmonics are, like a, you know. I know it. I know it. Been doing this a long time. I didn't start last week, and it's not the it's not a destination, it's a journey. You're never done with this thing. You never master the guitar, you limit your imagination. So I'm still learning stuff. It's fun. Okay, so why on earth are you doing the math rock thing? You're making my head hurt. Okay, well, fair enough. Well, I have several different kinds of guitars over there, and they're tuned different ways. So if I know where my key is, where my one chord is, like on a baritone guitar, I'm in the key of D on a baritone guitar. Well, my D shape does not make a D chord on the baritone guitar. It makes a 5 chord on the baritone guitar because it's down a fourth, okay? Because it's low B to B, okay? So if I'm playing this chord, this G shape on a baritone guitar, that is a D. That is a D chord on the baritone. So then you're like, well, crap, now I got to relearn the song. No, you don't have to relearn the song. You just have to know, okay, this is my one. This is my one. I'm in this key now. I'm in this key of 1. Okay, so then you translate. Okay, well, if I was in the key of G on a standard tune electric guitar, I would play in the key of G, my 1, 4, 5, and then the minor 2, and the minor 3, and the minor 6. And where do I get that? From my L-shaped bracket, my L tool. 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. Right? So 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. Okay, so now I know that mechanically and numerically I know that, but now I pick up a guitar with thick strings on it. It's tuned B to B, but the numbers work. I just plug in my formula. It's just like math. I hated math growing up. I didn't understand math, but the guitar helped me understand math in a new way that was beneficial to me. And then I kind of come around full circle, and then I started understanding math in a holistic way. Now there's things I don't want to use in the real world math-wise, like trigonometry and calculus. That's not my bag. I play the guitar. I'm not an architect. I don't need to do that. But, being able to count to 7, because once you count to 7, it just repeats. All I did was play the G pentatonic scale. And then I knew where another G is. And then I knew where another G was. And then I knew where another G was. The old Gary Loris trick from the Jayhawks. I love Gary Loris, by the way. All these things are chords, chord shapes. And then you just learn to talk, do little phrases within the chord shapes. That's all it is. So you got to know your chords. That way when you know your chords, you're never going to be lost on the guitar. Okay, so now let me show you the 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6 approach for every caged shape. I'm in the key of C. One, four, five. Then 2. All right, so if I'm in the C shape, if C is my home base, I can do that. Now check this out. Why do I need to know that? Well, if you're playing in church, a lot of church people, they are playing the guitar. They just started playing the guitar because they were inspired to play the guitar in church, and they like the songs. They like the the music, the camaraderie. People are built up. It's great. It's great. So now, but maybe they don't know music theory. Okay, so now the singer's like, I like this key better. It sounds good for my voice. Okay, well, I'm on the 3rd fret now. So now here's the C shape, but I'm not in the key of C anymore, but the shapes still apply. 1, 4, 5, 1. Then 2, 3, and 6. And that's it. So if you understand in the C shape how to get your 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, you're golden in the C shape. And when you use capos, you're golden. Okay, now there's 4 other chord shapes we used. Those are the CAGED shapes. So C, A is the next one, A shape. Now we went over that earlier. A. Then the 3 and the 2, 3, and 6. Okay, C, A, G. G is your next shape. And then 2, 3, and 6. Then C, A, G, E is the next shape. This is one that throws people for a loop because the 5 chord in this, you have 2 options. Either one works. It depends on the leading tone and what's happening with the melody. Okay, so check this out. E, there's your 4, and then here's 5. Now some people do their 5 as a dominant 7, which is B7. It depends on the tune. Your ear will tell you which one sounds better. Trust your ear, always. Then you got 2, 3, 6. That's it. Okay, and then the last one, C, A, G, E, D. D's your next one. Then 4, then 5, then 4 again. And then 2, and 3, and 6. Okay, so how do you use that? Well, if people are using capos, you can, okay, let's say you put a capo on the 2nd fret. Now what? I can use my C shape here. 6. So there's something I do with people. You can come up with a system where you can get, if you have someone in your house that can quiz you, you can do flashcards, okay? And start with an easy key for guitar players like G, okay? So everything gets 4 beats, and then somebody yells out a number between 1 and 6, okay? 1, 5, 2, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, 5, 1, right? And then you try and see how long you can keep that going before you crash and burn. Because when you're at a gig and you don't know the song, you can make your way through it if you understand what key you're in, and that key is your 1 chord. your do of the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So then, you know, a lot of working musicians, they'll just start yelling out numbers. They'll be like, hey man, we're going to do this song in G, you know, and the verse is, you know, ones and fives. Six, four. Okay, so then you can start doing an exercise when you're driving to work in the morning. Okay. White Snake, here I go again. Okay. One, I don't know. Five, where I'm going. Four, repeats. But I sure know where I've been. Hanging on the promises and the songs. Six, yesterday. Two minor, a date of my mind. Five, two, I ain't wasting no more time. Five, here I go again. Here I go again. So I can start listening to things, and as soon as I know what key it's in, then I can start doing my math. So I got to learn, for instance, I got to learn, looks like about 35, 40 songs. Just got hired to do a gig Saturday, and I've heard them before, so it's not like I'm coming in cold. It's not like it's like, you know, Schoenberg, atonal, like a serialism thing. It's pop music, so it's fine. And I've heard the songs before, so I'm going to listen to it again. But now I'm going to listen to it with my ears tuned as a listener of math rock. And that's going to be, all right, let me discern what key am I in. Okay, now I'm listening with a key in mind, and then everything is numbers off of that key. So I can learn things very quickly. So on these sheets, you know, like this one's in C, this one's in B minor, and then it modulates to, so I can just, you know, I got to put my glasses on at the gig so I can read this, but at least I can. And, you know, these are my little cliff notes. This one's in E, because I asked them before I took the gig. I was like, all right, I can take the gig, no problem, because somebody had a conflict. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Are we doing the tunes in the original recorded key? Yes, we are. Okay, great. Now, guess what? If we don't, if somebody gave me bad intel, I've got to scramble. I've got to do my math. I've got to think, okay, well, I got this mapped out. There was my 1 and my 4 and my 5 and my 2 and my 3 and my 6. But they don't want to do it in that key. So now I got to pivot. I got to put it to the new one. And then everything's math from that. The 1, the 4, the 5, the 2, the 3, the 6. Jeff Buckley made it popular, the minor fall and the major lift. That was a Leonard Cohen song, of course, but, you know, it goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor fall, the major lift. Well, they were doing a numbers game. They were doing math rock, even though it doesn't, you know, it doesn't go hard. Like, I've been listening to Big Wreck today, and Ian Thornley, man, wow. So, yeah, hopefully that makes some sense. Someone said something very nice and great information. I bet you'd be a great guitar teacher. I bet I would. I'm very fortunate to have some great students. So this information, basically what my goal is I want to give people the tools to where they can learn as fast as possible on their own, because the faster they learn, the faster we can go. Because I want people knowing what a Neapolitan six is. I want people to know what a tritone sub is. I want people to know about altered dominance and playing, subbing, like stretching out over, chord substitutions. And then on the flip side of that, I want people to understand, hey, all that widdly's cool, man. Hey, what's the melody doing, by the way? You're not playing with a scat singer, a jazz thing. No, man, you're playing a song. What's a song doing? What's the melody doing? So the melody exists. It lives in the major scale in some degree. The major scale is the double helix. It is the breath of life in music. Everything comes from the major scale. It is a derivative somehow. That it's the Big Bang. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, there's other people that teach music theory, and they have their own concepts, and I'm familiar with those as well, and that's great. For me, I'm a simple man, and I need to keep things as simple as possible. So I want to make sure that I'm teaching people something that comes in handy for them, as a quick concept to grab, and it's easily accessible, easily applicable to the guitar. Because rule number one of business, a confused mind says no. So if you are the one in business to spread your business to people, and they're confused about what you're doing, they're going to be like, this is terrible. There's experimental music that it goes over a lot of people's heads because it is fundamentally too advanced or complex for them. So you got to at least have a command of the diatonic information from the major scale. And that's where all the chords come from. That's where great songs come from. I like songs. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I am going to play us out by playing something in a loop, and then using some of these concepts. So thanks so much, and I'll see you down the road.